Hello and welcome to DragonCon Filk Music Track. We are chatting with a group of our performers from the past few years to talk about how musicians are dealing with COVID.
Andrew McKee, the Irish bard, also member of the Brobdingnagian Bards, with my friend and partner over there, Mark, or wherever I am on here. And yeah, I've been doing music for 20 years, sound engineering for 18 years, video work for 15 years, and computer tech for 25 years. So yes, I'm a nerd. Next.
My name is Marc Gunn. I do sci-fi-ish music, yes, with that guy, Andrew McKee, but also as a soloist. I've been playing music a little bit longer than Andrew because I'm the one who dragged him into starting a band together. But yeah, I love playing music. It's been my lifelong dream since I was wanting to be Elvis Presley as a little kid. And look, I'm writing songs just like Elvis. Never mind.
My name is Tom Smith. I am known as the world's fastest filker because I tend to write songs very, very quickly, sometimes in front of people, sometimes parodying them while they're performing. My first DragonCon was actually 1994. I was the Filk guest, and then I got invited back in 2004 and have only missed 1 year since that, and that was because I was in the hospital. You know, DragonCon I consider to be one of my home conventions. It's a wonderful, fun place to be with a lot of great people. There's lots of hugs. There's lots of gorgeous cosplay. There's lots of friends playing excellent music. You know, can't go wrong.
Hey, what's going on, people? Chris Saber here from Night Sabers, and last year was our first year playing DragonCon. We play what we call nerd pop music. It's kind of a mix of like rock and roll, like Kiss and Ramones, with like weird folk stuff and lots of sing-alongs, lots of songs about cats, sushi, all kinds of nerdy things, video games, anime, and comic books. And last year was just such a ridiculously good experience, mostly thanks to the Filk track, and of course, thanks to all the other great things at DragonCon, the best convention in the world, in the universe, in the galaxy, all over the place.
Hey, I'm Scott Vaughan. I'm with the band The Blibbering Humdingers. There's usually anywhere from 2 to 5 of us performing. And I've been doing music about 30 years now. I started doing bardic stuff in the SCA, the Society for Creative Anachronism, sort of quasi-medieval folkish stuff. And then about 10, 12 years ago, we started doing wizard rock, and then branching out more into the greater Filk fandom and just all kinds of nerd rock stuff as well. And like Andrew, I do a little bit of video editing, a little bit of audio engineering, and you know, I'm more of a dabbler, but sometimes I get paid to do it, so that's fun too.
Hi, I am Madison Matricula Roberts. I'm a soloist, but I'm also part of the Salacious Crumbles, which is a band I started during COVID with my friend Lee, and also a social justice bard, as well as a few other people here. So I've been playing music. I started playing guitar when I was in like middle school, high school, and then a bunch of guitar boys nagged me a bunch, and I didn't play much through college. And then I started playing again once I found Filk, and then I started performing and fell in with some burlesque troops, and here we are. So.
Hi there, DragonCon. I am Alyssa Yeager. You might know me under the stage name Rhiannon's Lark, which is typically what I perform under when I'm doing my original stuff, which is kind of folk pop, and I do a lot of nerdy stuff, board games and whatnot, and I also do some crossover into the pagan realms of themes. When I am not performing original music, I'm often doing 50s and 60s folk music at assisted living facilities, so I'll probably talk more about that in relation to COVID.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jessica Hebert with the PDX Broadsides out of Portland, Oregon. And this is, I guess, technically our third DragonCon in a row because now we're virtual. We are in the internet and in your space. When I'm not making nerd music, I am a placentologist, currently doing kidney research because that's my life. PDX Broadsides, we are a nerd folk pop band, and there's 3 of us, and we make songs about science and Star Trek and Shakespeare and Nathan Fillion's butt, amongst other things. And during COVID, I started a video cast called Anthology for people who used to be in a band, but now they can't play together because of the age of COVID, or for soloists who are looking for a new venue. And that's been really popular and a lot of fun to do.
Hello, my name is David Hewitt. I am the bass player for the band Foot Pound Force. We're out of Huntsville, Alabama. I've been pretty much doing what I'm doing in my day job, because my day job hasn't stopped, and my day job is an aerospace engineer in Huntsville, and everybody else in the band is pretty busy in technical stuff as well. We've been trying to hunker down and do our stuff remotely and get as much stuff done as we can, but we haven't really been able to play together. It's been a real bummer that we haven't played in 5 months, until we had a practice the other day, and it was great. So did the best social distancing we could do, and got a bunch of new material.
The first question that came to us via our social feeds that I'd love to get your feedback on is what revenue sources are working for you these days?
For us, actually, tips during online shows have been rather lucrative. We're able to finance some new sound equipment, a new soundboard, and been raising funds for various charitable causes, food banks and Planned Parenthood, and some other causes that are important to us. So yeah, that's actually been doing much better for us than any other online revenue source ever has.
The tips have gone up for me with my live streams, but also I stream primarily, most of my live stream work is on Twitch, and they have a subscription system, so it's sort of like a preset Patreon kind of thing. I've done much better with that because they have these systems for people to gift other people subs, so they're subscriptions. So in some of the ways, that's gone up a ton because the people with more scratch have been gifting these things to other people to enjoy the paid benefits. And I think it's a good symbiosis. Like, no platform is your friend, but they've done a really good job trying to interface with the community and provide these opportunities that they make money, we make money, and the people that just want to support the arts really feel like they are directly supporting the arts, because some of it, like live tipping, you see it on screen, but also there's like little perks with it. But the main thing is that it's sort of a community status thing too. It's just a cultural thing that happens on Twitch. So actually my overall subscription rates have gone up.
Typically at this time of year, I'm doing some live shows at libraries, whether indoors or outdoors. And obviously, that's been cut out. But I had reached out to libraries back in early spring and let them know what kind of virtual programming I could offer, because a lot of libraries were trying to be open as possible, but they weren't physically open for people. So they're trying to figure out, okay, what can we offer for virtual programming? So I offered a combination of live stream shows, oldies cover shows, original music shows, and kids music. I'm also a music therapist, and so I've done a lot of work with kids. And that was the most popular offering. Everybody wanted interactive kids videos. So I did 8 half-hour long recorded sessions, which were designed to be as interactive as possible through a video recording where you're not actually seeing the kids through Zoom or anything, because these are going to be reused, and doing traditional kid songs. And I also have original kid songs. I have an original children's album. So there's a lot of libraries that made use of that and put that out there to their families.
I've been working on my ecosystem basically, because Night Sabers is like one part of this. And funny enough, to kind of, go off of what Matricula was just saying earlier, Twitch has been a huge part of that, because I started streaming on there, not even music stuff really. I stream on there under kimchi_gamer, and we do video games, focus on kind of like weird Japanese ones, and a lot of the Yakuza games and like retro stuff, all kinds of stuff. And I always, of course, start the streams. I pretty much only use my own music on it. So that's a huge plus on it. So use the music through there. I've also, inside the ecosystem on YouTube, I have a YouTube channel called Kimchi Chris, where we talk about rock and roll music, a lot of stuff about the band Kiss, a lot of collectibles, vinyl updates, stuff like that. So of course I throw Night Sabers into that as well. And then there's also a YouTube channel for Kimchi Gamer as well as a Night Sabers one. So there's like multiple YouTube channels going on at the same time, multiple Instagrams, all that stuff. But seriously, yeah, Twitch has been one that's been very, very helpful because I started it during all of this. I was planning on starting it for a while. And I just got to say, Twitch is where it's at if you want to actually like be empowered to make some money. I've been doing a lot, yeah, through Twitch, YouTube, everything, and it all is into the ecosystem. And we've sold some physical Night Sabers merchandise that way, which is wonderful.
I have, I think, an odd circumstance compared to the rest of you. I am medically retired and on Social Security disability. So anything extra comes from the online stuff. And in that case, lately it's been two sources, Bandcamp and Patreon. If I get out one or two Patreon songs every month, then I have a good month. I got to find out about Twitch. I'm starting to get ready to do some other things with Patreon. I've been wanting for a few years to actually get some patrons only concerts up there. I'm also going to try and do some non-Patreon concerts, mostly just for fun. But if there's a way to get tip money on Twitch, that would be good.
Yeah, so I've been using first Patreon since it started. I've been using Facebook Live live streaming for a couple years. Patreon has been spectacular, and I have Patreon pages for my own music, for my Irish and Celtic music podcast. I have one for Celtic Christmas podcast, and I have one for the Brobdingnagian Bards. So that offers multiple streams of income each and every month, and it every little bit helps. I have seen Patreon a little bit stronger since COVID started. Tips, of course, for live shows have been up. If I'm doing like a concert in the evenings, usually those do really well. My weekly coffee shows that I do, they don't do spectacular, but I've come to realize those are mostly for my fans. And my fans are the ones who are supporting me on Patreon, and they're occasionally tipping, but a lot of times they're buying more merch. I have definitely seen my merch sales go up online over the past few months. So,
thing to remember is diversification. I mean, there's not going to be one place that is going to do everything for you. Tips. I through all this, I started a kind of a production company, Life's Affair, and have been streaming other Renaissance Fair groups and through that, and since for the last 5 months straight, weekly. So it's been a thing, and I've seen the tips for everybody. They go up and down depending on the mood of the country, because different bits of anxiety happen week to week. It's been kind of interesting to see the trend, but you need to have those, and you need to have them available for people, and it does help because people do want to give you money and support their favorite musicians, sure. But some people, they want to have the feeling that they're getting something for their money, a physical item. And that's hard right now. So, concentrating on Bandcamp for the digital so that people have that feeling that they can get something for it. I think Bandcamp is probably a really good route to go to try to say, hey, yeah, support me, but go ahead and buy my music. And I found that people have bought music, even though they already have it. They already have a CD. They just want to give me money and feel like they got something. So putting up as much live songs as you can on Bandcamp, doing a show and putting that on Bandcamp for people can buy. I mean, all these different things, putting extras on there, that can be a good route. But you've also got to look at Patreon, like some of you have said, and it's sort of like a lot of different routes depending on your audience.
Can we talk about Patreon for a minute?
Sure.
I wanted, so one of the things that I've actually hesitated about getting onto Patreon is I feel like if I set up something, I would almost feel obliged to put something out every few weeks or once a month or something like that. And I actually have a very profitable day job. My wife has her business. So for us, music is very much a sideline. And I mean, sometimes it's work. But for us to, for me to feel obliged to do something like that is kind of painful. So I'd just like to hear people's thoughts on, is there a perception from the audience that you are delivering content regularly? you know, at least monthly or something like that?
There are actually a couple of ways you can deliver content on Patreon, and I take rather than the monthly subscription, which I know some people take for however much content, I do it by the song. I say, okay, this song, I'll charge you for this song, and they only pay for that. That way, I don't feel guilty for having one of those months where it's like, I didn't get anything together this time. Okay, guys, I got nothing. They don't pay me. It's only by the piece.
Yeah, so there are different ways to approach Patreon, and number one is what Tom suggests, and that removes it.
This is the old guy method. I can't tour anywhere near like
the thing that I've learned about Patreon is that Patreon is not about what you're giving. Recently, they did this change where they're going to charge tax for if you're giving physical items. And so I talk to my fans, why do you sign up for Patreon? I think maybe 0% said, I'm here for this stuff. Half the time they don't listen to it. They don't download it. They don't do much with it. They might stream a podcast early if they get a chance. But in general, Patreon is about fan support. There are fans who love your music so much that they are going to support you whatever you do. Sometimes you don't create new stuff, and so you don't have to do it that way. My personal recommendation for Patreon is you create one thing a week, and it can be a blog post, it can be a picture, it can be a podcast. I like the podcast because I am a podcaster, or it could be some music. But if you create something once a week, it's easy enough to plan for. That's 4 items a month, 4 simple items a month, where you say, hey, this is what's new. That's it. Thanks for being a part of my crew, being a supporter of my music. And that's all you need. You don't even need that much. If you want to do less, the Brobdingnagian and Bards, we do less. We have been, doing a podcast monthly, and last couple of months, not so much. So it kind of varies each and every month. But they're not there for that. They want to see the Brobdingnagian and Bards together, and that's what they're there supporting.
Yeah, so another thing to keep in mind with that, because I also do the per creation Patreon setup, and I did a big campaign about a month ago to grow my Patreon community, because right now that is a way for me to be encouraged to keep writing songs. And whether it's the amount of money or just the amount of people who are there giving you support, and they want to hear the next thing that you come out with, regardless of what they're pledging. But one of the things that I reassured people with, and every once in a while I put this information out to my community, you can set a cap. So if you're doing a creation thing, and let's say they pledge $5 per creation, but they can't afford more than $10 a month, they can set a cap at $10 a month. So if you put out 5 songs that month because you were having a great month, they can pay for 2 of them and still have access to everything.
One of the things that always fascinated me when I started doing music, it was never anything I expected, and I still try to keep it in mind, is that I've had so many people over the years just say, oh my gosh, I would have never had the courage to go up there and do music. That's so awesome. You're just, wow, I wish I could do that. I really wish I could do that. And I mean, they're living vicariously through you in a way, not as fans, but just as people just appreciating somebody who has the guts to be a professional musician. I mean, what the hell? And Patreon makes it easy. So, I mean, you can just treat Patreon as like a monthly newsletter that people pay to find out more information about you. You can do it in written, video form, audio, whatever. And if you can throw some extra stuff in there, great. But you don't necessarily have to make it very interactive. I've seen a lot of people on Patreon who they want to give you money, but they never did, like Mark said, they don't really watch your stuff or do any, and now there's something to be said for creating that community, because that is going to help you later on, but sometimes it's very difficult to do depending on who your fans are, and sometimes it's not necessary. So I wouldn't stress too much about it. Just I think play to your audience and play to your personality, but having a Patreon is better than not. I think that's the thing I want to emphasize.
And one final thought is that when you're putting it together, plan on, don't offer a lot. If you are uncertain, if you could actually pledge, do a whole bunch, plan, like he said, one thing a month. I have my suggestion, but it doesn't work for everyone, so just plan on one thing a month. And if you can put out something, great. Even if you can't, that's okay. But just plan for the worst, and then hopefully you can put out more stuff for people. But you can tell people this is what this is going to be, what you're going to get on this. It's mostly just going to be a newsletter, maybe a podcast, or something. But then you can offer a lot more as time goes by.
That actually sets us up really well for our next question that we had from our Facebook group. What ways have you found to spend time with that audience who's stuck at home? Jess, you want to go first?
I would, yeah, because I didn't have a lot to say about making money because we're more of a hobbyist band. It's less of our profession. And we've had 2 really successful Kickstarters, so we didn't feel like we really wanted to focus on Patreon and making money from our audience. Rather, we're trying to find ways to interact with them a little bit more personally. And we encourage them to get music from us on Bandcamp, especially on Bandcamp Fridays, or to tip our artists during Anthology. But really, it's how can we uplift the other Filkers and non-Filkers, nerdy music makers in our community and bring us all together. That's kind of been more of what we've been doing during the pandemic. We've found some creative ways to get together and do that. We've been playing Jackbox games with the Misbehaving Maidens, our buddies in DC, whom we love a lot. I started Anthology, which was this platform, and every week I have 3 guests on. Everybody does 2 songs in a randomized order, and it exposes people who come on to say, to tune in to listen to, say, Kim Ware from Georgia, but they also get to hear Shauna Jacques from Seattle and all sorts of different music. I've had everything from nerdcore rappers to really lovely folk singers to Matricula's been on, Alyssa's been on. We have a lot of fun doing that. And I think the way that we're building audiences is through vulnerability and creativity right now. We're all going through this together, and so being vulnerable and open about the fact that we miss our friends and we're trying to find ways to connect is a really big deal right now.
I wanted to say from our perspective, at least from Foot Pound Force perspective, we all have a well-paying day job, so we haven't been trying to make money with our side hustle of music. But at the same time, we started a Patreon. I wrote a song about donating to my Patreon about a year and a half ago. So I figured we better start a Patreon. And so I wouldn't know what else to say about that, but we haven't done anything with it yet. And we've all been so busy that we haven't had time to delve into it. But that being said, we got stuff on Bandcamp, and I'd like to expand that world. But sometimes day job takes precedence, so you only get so much exposure out there.
I do stuff on other platforms, particularly Facebook Live and some other things. A lot of the platforms like OBS, open source stuff, you can create sort of your own branding and you can import that to any of these different live streaming platforms. And that's really valuable. But for me on Twitch, it's been great. It's great for a certain kind of audience interaction. It's extremely informal. It's a great way, like Chris Saber was talking about playing games, like the games, and like I do live knitting streams where I have my own talk show, but I'm knitting and I've got like a multicam set up and stuff. But those are the things that advertise my music, because sort of for me, especially as a soloist and kind of a cabaret kind of focus thing, it's like at a certain point I am my product. It's not just my music. I'm an entertainer. And I think of myself as an entertainer in a more broad sense than a musician, even though I am a musician. I spend time writing and practicing and doing these things. But some of it is just people really, really want that sort of, and like Dr. Jess was saying, that sort of personal interaction. And it is kind of hard to balance that interaction with giving too much accessibility to your like self, so you get like emotionally burned out. But it's been a hoot. Like writing songs with the chat, people love it if a new person comes in and you make like a little jingle for them, like things like that. They're cheesy and fun, and it's been a great way to connect with people, because one of the things I like my music, I'm proud of it, but one of the things I think I really have to offer is sort of a personality as an entertainer, and being able to talk in between things and do storytelling and having that kind of flexibility where you feel more like you're hanging out in somebody's dorm room than doing a concert. And those are all that, like, concerts are also valuable, but as far as like building a community and the maintenance of that community, I think like if you can build a live streaming community, Twitch is really well designed for it, for those kinds of social features. But I mean, there are other ways. And when I'm streaming, I'm providing this content, but my other friends are in my chat and they're making friends with the people watching my chat. And then when they're watching someone else's, I go hang out in there, at least for a little bit, for a song or two, just to kind of like keep that community feel. So for me, the most valuable thing really that Twitch has offered is this cohesiveness.
So community is definitely one of the big things that I do think about a lot about. And when I have found that, you know, building community is not an easy thing online. I do have my Coffee Still Polish weekly shows that I do, and that's probably been the number one way I've seen people starting to interact with each other, because it all starts with interacting in the feed, and then people start seeing each other's names, and then sometimes they end up seeing each other at shows, which is you know, the biggest way of seeing the interaction. As far as interacting directly with fans, I think most of mine, I think, has been going through email, mostly because I am pushing away from social media because I don't like it, and I find it stressful. So I'm looking for ways of building that interaction in a more personal, one-on-one fashion, which has definitely worked better. But I think for most of my communal interaction, I think has probably been through the weekly coffee shows and such.
So I've been doing a lot of online streaming, casual, formal concerts, themes, random stuff. You know, sometimes it's, hey, my request list is at this website if you want to request something. And sometimes I actually have a full set. But another thing that I've been doing to try to engage people when I'm not on live is creating this series of what I called Lark Pop videos, which is very much like the old VH1, you know, pop-up videos. So I took songs that have already been released and I did live recordings of them. And there's little pop-ups and they talk about the inspiration for the song or personal things that I was experiencing and how those are kind of tied into the lyrics, so that people can get to know me better. So when I do see them through, you know, Facebook chat or YouTube chat or whatnot, they're interacting with me, not just as a musician, but they're starting to understand like who I am underneath the music and making that connection with me as a person, not just as a songwriter, which is challenging for me, but also a lot of fun.
This is the time to start trying to get to make a connection with your fans online. I mean, back in the day, it was, I need to build a fan base. And then after that, it was, I need to get a mailing list. And then after that, it was, oh, I need to get more likes on Facebook, on my Facebook page. And it kept going through all this process. Well, this situation has now pushed everybody 10 years ahead. Everything was going this way where everybody was going to have a serious online performance presence. And now we all have to. So we're doing it. So the best advice, this is the most important thing I want to get across in this entire thing right now. There is no going back. There is no going back to normal, at quote normal, in a few months or 6 months or a year or whenever things kind of go away with COVID in some way. This, as far as performance goes, this is here to stay. I think every event, whether it's a small pub or a huge convention, is going to have an online component from now on, because they have to. And that's not going to change. So you need to really work hard on trying to develop an online presence, a fan base, and a process to get it done. There's no right or wrong way to do it, because there are so many different variations. I mean, it depends on your fan base, on what they want, where they are, where they'll find you. It also depends on your personality. If you are, like some of you here, a very outgoing personality who wants to interact with your fans, or like Mark, who doesn't want to have anything to do with them because he's I'm sorry. Did I say that out loud?
That's not what I was saying.
I was kidding. No, yeah, I mean, it depends on your personality, and there are so many different ways to do it. But regardless, you need to do it in some way and diversify as much as you can and try different things, because there is no one way is going to get you there. So I really want to put that out. Okay.
Most of my community building, and this is actually something I was going to say from the previous, yeah, I'm starting to try and do something. Yeah, I have to take some steps on Patreon and a few other things to be more active on that. Although I'm really not going to build a community on Patreon. The people that are in my community on Patreon are in my communities on Facebook, and I interact with them constantly. I'm literally talking to people, all day, every day. Check out whatever they got going on. However, they answer the my posts. The Patreon is primarily there for me to say, okay, here's where the new songs go first. You guys, thank you so much for supporting me. Here's the new songs. And there's going to be more of that with streaming concerts and stuff. I've done a few streaming concerts for other conventions this spring and summer, and that's actually worked out surprisingly well. So I'm having a good time with that. Like I say, in my case, the community's there. Granted, I've been doing this longer than any of you. Okay. I mean, I started in Filk in 1985. Forgive me for being quietly amused at Chris and Alyssa and a couple of the others, trying to describe, yeah, we do nerd folk rock or pop or what. It's all Filk. Everything that you're doing is exactly what we've been doing. It's, just that we lump it into Filk. I've done everything from old child ballads to hip hop and everything in between. And I'm not going to stop doing that, but it's all under the auspices of Filk.
I don't know where this question started. I don't remember exactly, but we've got it on the topic of community, and that's always really exciting to me because my community is so hard to follow, and parts of it cross over and parts of it don't cross over. So that's why it's always interesting to me, because kind of like what I was talking about earlier, we're here for Night Sabers. We're here for me creating music. However, I also have the YouTube community where I talk about Kiss a lot. And if people don't know Kiss, it's that guy. We all have Ace Frehley plushies at our house. We should have them easily accessible at least. But in that community, they care about my music creation quite a bit. Then I have the Twitch community where they also care about my music creation quite a bit, but the Twitch community doesn't care about the Kiss stuff, and the Kiss community does not care about the Twitch stuff. Or did I say that? I said that backwards, I believe. Twitch stuff doesn't care about Kiss. Kiss doesn't care about Twitch. There you go. Anyways, the point is, this is kind of similar to what you guys were saying earlier, is that your community and your fan base isn't going to necessarily follow you to every platform. So for me, always trying to bridge that weird gap where my music and video game stuff, my fan base is like exclusively like 15 to 25. My Kiss and rock and roll stuff, my fan base is exclusively 40 years and older men. There's a lot of girls on the other one too, but there's not a lot of girls in the Kiss community. So it's always very weird. And then Night Sabers is the weird middle ground where when we play a show, we'll have all of them kind of there. And then they hear like, oh, you play video games? Yeah. On Twitch? What's Twitch? Same thing. Oh, you do YouTube? Everyone knows what YouTube is, but they don't understand there's an entire community critiquing obscure classic rock records from 1974 on there by people that weren't even born yet. So trying to get all of that community together is super, super hard. But once you kind of get it there and they kind of follow you around, you have like those kind of like ride or dies, even if there's only like 50 of them or 100 of them that will follow you to everything. Those are the super valuable ones. And not just valuable, they're the cool ones, but that's the ones that you're spending the most time with anyways. They're watching you on the YouTube video. They're watching you on the YouTube stream. They're watching you on your Night Saber stream. They're watching you on your Twitch stream. They will follow you everywhere. And I mean, I have people that they're part of every one of those communities. And those are the people that are so great. They're so wonderful. They don't always spend a ton of money, but they're amazing. So the community aspect is so important, and getting them to follow you is so hard when you have such diverse interests.
I wanted to talk a little bit about the community aspect too, because I don't agree that just because you're doing nerd pop or nerd rock or nerdcore, that makes you Filk. You have to invest in the community of Filk in order to be considered Filk. But I mean, the investment is small. The investment is show up and participate and share yourself and share your heart and share your music. And even if it's not perfect, it doesn't matter, because Filk isn't about perfection, and Filk isn't about making the best song that you can make. Filk is about the community, and Filk is about sharing. And so PDX Broadsides, we're blessed to be part of the Filk community because we've been welcomed in. Back when we started in Filk in 1967, no, I mean, we joined way late. We joined way after Filk was invented through an accidental misspelling, but that's okay. You can join and be part of the Filk community tomorrow, and you should be considered just as valid and just as included, because it's about the community. And I hope that if you're watching this and you've never joined a Filk circle or come down to the Filk track on Dragon Con, like, I want to see you. Come on down, share your music with us. I want to be excited with you, because that's Filk.
All right. All right, let's roll into the next question. I kind of love this one. Have there been any silver linings?
We have played like probably 24 shows with our kids over the last few months. Our teenage boys play drums and keyboards, and well, Liam's a multi-instrumentalist who'll also jump on bass or electric guitar or mandolin or banjo or whatever the hell he wants to play. And kid's only 16, and he's just a super awesome musician. But they'll jump on live streams with us, and they know our material. They've been listening to it for, over a decade now, and they're both fine musicians. And it's been such a thrill for me as a dad making music with my kids. And normally it's just a huge pain in the butt to take them out of school and take them to a convention with us and all that sort of thing, and tell the convention organizers, no, they're part of the band. They're not just our kids. We're not just, trying to get them a free ride and that sort of thing. It's like, no, they're good. Trust us. So yeah, that's been awesome for us. And I feel like we've gotten really tight as a quartet on some of the material we do. So that's been awesome for me.
For most of the quarantine, in fact, has been trying to purposely make myself as an extrovert stay inside and not do anything, and not like be the life of everybody's party. So a lot of pent up energy went into playing my guitar, and so there was a lot of practicing I got to do during this thing, and I felt like I really benefited from it. We got back together with the band, and I noticed that everybody else had been practicing on their own too. So it was nice to feel like we didn't miss a step. So we haven't been playing out, but we've been playing in.
Mine is unfortunately more subtly health based. I really, really, really love going to conventions, but sometimes they're a pain in the ass just to get to them. Just the effort that it takes. Pack up everything, schlep out there, perform, get back home, drag everything back inside, fall over. I am an old guy at this point, and I'm not in the most fantastic health. There's nothing immediately pending that's going to take me out, but you all know that I'm how should we say this, huge and not particularly mobile. And while I get a lot of help at conventions and it's very much appreciated, it still is exhausting beyond belief. And I actually have started exercising a bit, which I really haven't been able to do earlier. I hadn't been able to motivate myself enough. And now it's like, well, what the hell are you doing? Reading fanfic, playing Skyrim. Okay, do something. So, and that's been helping. I'm getting a little more flexible. That's nice. I haven't lost any weight yet, but I'm at least moving a little bit better. And I'm hoping that by the time we all get back together, I will have slimmed down a touch and will be able to move more like I used to 20, 30 years ago.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with some of what everyone else has said. Time is the rarest commodity. That being said, all of a sudden I had a ridiculous amount of time to do whatever I wanted. This is a phenomenal opportunity for a lot of people, especially performers, because you can reinvent yourself. You can rebrand yourself. You can learn a new instrument. You can learn how to do online streaming, which you would have had to anyway. I am now so much better at color correction and in video editing than I was 5 months ago. I mean, oh my God, the things I've learned. And better at audio editing and doing a lot of cool effects live. I mean, it's a huge opportunity to work on your art, your skill, whatever you need to or want to do. And that is the silver lining here. Don't squander this, like Tom said, playing Skyrim. Please. I mean, it's okay. A few hours here and there, I understand. But still, yeah, it's important.
Yeah, I have definitely found myself spending more time practicing, a little bit more time writing songs and recording songs. I know I finished a Kickstarter right before the pandemic started, so I was already planning on doing some recording, but I found myself expanding a little bit. Here and there, I find myself writing an entire song. I'm finally tracking some of my songs, which is not my preferred way of recording. But I definitely found the time to record stuff. Plus, I have found myself, we for much of the summer, I was playing every week for my neighborhood, just playing music and, have amplifier blasting out to the street, and people got to relax and listen to music, and had a nice gathering of people just who were like, oh, well, this is nice. Some music blasting down the street. And it was just a fun way of bringing a little bit of happiness to a small community.
So yeah, silver lining. I have been wasting time playing video games. I've almost beat Persona 5, guys. Okay, come on now. It's a long game. It takes a while. But outside of that, some other cool things, like we picked up a producer, like someone we can call a producer, which is like pretty cool. Engineer, editor, whatever you want to say. We've also been working on kind of like expanding what Night Sabers is and what we can do, because we've kind of, going back to the last question, been working on building a brand and community kind of around this band. We've been doing projects with other bands as well. We have been helping out another Nashville band, Regdar and the Fighters. They're this cool glitch punk band that the singer uses a DDR pad for all of his guitar effects and triggers and samples and stuff. It's really cool. So we've been spending this time really like expanding what we are, as well as working on new songs and some new recordings. And all of these people we're kind of bringing into the Night Sabers circle, because we're going to have kind of from here on out kind of a rotating lineup where, you might see one show where we're a 2-piece, but you might see another show where we're a 6-piece. And we've had time to really work on that and figure out how it's going to go, basically, which is really cool, because that's something I want to do with the band since day one. And we got time to do it. Time is here. Time is of the essence. Morris Day was not wrong. The time is very important. So with all that being said, we've been very, very productive, and we're hoping, fingers crossed, we can at least get like an EP out by the end of the year, but we'll see about that. I don't want to make any promises, but we're working on a bunch of new stuff, and a lot of it is thanks to all this craziness in the world. So that's kind of the nice part about it. Oh, also my parents got a new cat. That's pretty cool.
Part of it, having this extra time, means that you get to write music that you hope that you can perform with your band or on your own. And the on your own has been kind of the big thing. My bandmate Christian released a solo album last month. He didn't tell us he was doing it, just dropped it. And because that's Pete Christian, and it's really good. It's under Astoria Hotel on Bandcamp. And hearing some of the things that he did individually with these songs helped us think about how we wanted to maybe take those songs and present them as a trio when we can get back together. I've been doing some solo work and writing on things that now, can I bring that back to a trio, or is it something that I do as a different project? It's been kind of exciting to have that space to explore that. We had planned to do a lot of touring. We had several big cons. We were talking about our Grand Canadian Cross Canada tour, because we had several cons across Canada that suddenly we couldn't go to. But during that same time, I was also looking for the next step in my career, and I was considering universities outside of the Portland area, which would have made it more difficult for us to work together as a band. But silver lining, because of COVID, I started looking more seriously closer to home and maybe a little bit outside of my field. And I ended up finding a fantastic team. And even though I'm doing kidney work and not placenta work right now, it's still, the kidney's just placenta's cousin. And I get to stay and work with the broadsides a little bit longer. So, you know, it's not great, but fate worked in my favor, at least that way. And I think Holly and Christian had better agree that it's a good thing I'm staying.
Yeah, same. Time to learn new stuff, and I've definitely been forced out of my comfort zone. So that I feel like the two things that I've been really focused on learning have been the performance aspect and also the social media aspect, which is definitely not my comfort zone. Before this, I had done a handful of online concerts, and they were all through Concert Window, which is completely defunct now. So coming into this, it was like, okay, starting from scratch. Need some new gear, need a new platform. I have reached out to Matricula and Dr. Jess as well for advice because I've seen what they do and have been impressed, and they have been very supportive on kind of getting me up on that first stair. So it's come a long way, and without going into all of the online streaming stuff, I also took a class with Laser of the Double Clicks. They offered a class, or they still are offering a class called Crush Your Kickstarter, and it's not specifically just on Kickstarter. It's really about building and engaging your audience. So we talked a little bit about that before. You know, how do you engage your community right now? And just looking at that from a lot of different perspectives and trying to gain some comfort with working with that social media community, which, you know, I just has never been my thing. You know, I really prefer seeing people in person, but that's the reality of where we are right now. So doing my best to reach out to people and grow things in as organic a way as possible so that it makes sense. We're actually connecting on real things and not just, you know, I'm going to put out a picture of something cute and hope that you like my page, even though you will never ever listen to my music, because what's the point of that? I've also been working, some of the gear stuff that I've been doing has been with a new foot pedal. And today, for the first time, I did a live performance with some loops in there. So that was kind of exciting, some vocal loops. So yeah.
For me, honestly, one of the silver linings has been one, I've learned a whole bunch. I've done a lot of new technical stuff. I've been recording some weird things. Like I just recorded like organic boot stomps for a track for a charity album. I think I can't remember if it was Dr. Jess or somebody else suggested I needed to record hand claps. They were like, put on dish gloves, and that was a huge thing. But what the cool thing is, I accidentally started a band during COVID with my friend Lee Tyberg. The Salacious Crumbles, but like we have been, considering she lives in Baltimore and I live down in Raleigh, that's what, like 500 miles or something, and we have a band. Like we have been writing tracks collaboratively, we have been recording. She's been doing recording on her end, and then I'm doing the production and mixing, and it's surprisingly organic. Like, and you don't even have to have like fancy equipment, but it's like I was just really surprised. I've never tried to produce something with any kind of complication or level of complication over distance like this before. But I mean, we are just like writing stuff left and right, or we're starting it and we're finishing it. But like, it's been a great creative period. One, because like I have a little bit more flexibility in time, but also like people need outlets. And it's like, yes, let's write those nerd songs, you know?
Well, thinking of nerd songs, have y'all written any pandemic inspired music? Dave, do you want to start us off?
Yeah, I say Ken, our guitar player, Foot Pound Force and frontman, he wrote a song called "The Social Distancing Shuffle," and we did a very scientific method. We created a Google spreadsheet and asked each other, what can you convert from 6 feet? So we came up with 72 inches. We came up with 2 fathoms. We came up with the wavelength at 1.52 something megahertz. There's a whole bunch of things that translate into 6 feet. And then Ken took it and made it rhyme and made it into a song called "The Social Distancing Shuffle." And we're pretty excited about that. There's been some other pandemic related things, but that's the only one that was directly inspired by the pandemic.
We've been on even more of a pop culture kick than normal, and we're just writing songs about all of the media we're consuming, basically. So we're like in the process. I don't want to, say anything or definite, since they're all, in the process of being made. But we have a song about Persona 5 since I've spent 16,000 hours, it feels like, playing that game in pandemic. But also working on a song about Neon Genesis Evangelion, which is just so good. Have a song about Lum, which is a classic anime that a lot of people don't know now. We also are working on a song about how much we hate the way Nashville is dealing with everything right now in a humorous way. Definitely highlights Kid Rock and his troublesome bar that he has here, because yes, Kid Rock has a bar. And yes, they're the reason our city's falling apart partially right now. So we have a song about that as well. We want to write a song about Kiss as well, funny enough, because we somehow never wrote a song about them. So we aren't writing anything specifically end of the world related necessarily, but we're just consuming so much. We're like sponges right now. We're just like taking everything in. We aren't taking SpongeBob in. Maybe we should write a song about SpongeBob. Maybe that's where it should be going, since we're sponges right now. But nonetheless, there's going to be some weird stuff to come out of this. I'm excited about the weirdness that's about to happen.
Broadsides tend to write a lot about feelings anyway, and so the pandemic has definitely brought up a lot of feelings of isolation and regret and missing people. So there's definitely a theme of that running through some of what we're writing right now. We've also I did write a song for Festival of the Living Rooms, which was a great thing to come out of this right now. Blind Lemming Chiffon is running Festival of the Living Rooms, which is like an every 2-month massive Filk concert, goes for an entire weekend, and people sign up for slots, and it's been a really great community builder. But I took the Zombies Cranberry, or the Cranberry Zombie, woof, and rewrote it about COVID-19, you know, because it lends itself so beautifully. Wash your hands, COVID-19, 19, like it writes itself. So it'll be recorded eventually. In Portland, though, we do have a kind of cool thing called Piano Push Play, and they have these pianos that artists decorate, and they're gorgeous, and they do new pianos every year, and then afterwards the pianos end up getting donated to places that need pianos, nonprofits usually, and they wheel them all over the city to different places, and you can visit the pianos and play them for the public. We didn't think they were going to do it this year because, you know, a lot of touching going on with shared pianos, but they did it. And so my sister and I have been going out and carrying our own Lysol wipes and our own antibacterial sprays and everything, but just going out and getting to play on those pianos for the community, and it means that we have to learn new things to keep it fresh for us and just entertain people. And that's been really lovely and has caused me to up my piano game a little bit. It's been rad.
So Dr. Jess's comment on the parody just reminded me that I just put out a third COVID song of a parody of The Witch Doctor to I Asked the Plague Doctor. So it was fun doing the chipmunk voice for that and everything. But the first song that I wrote early on in lockdown was partly inspired by Lucky Annie from the Misbehaving Maidens, because one of the things that she says that I adore is, oh, it's so good to see your face, or I miss your face. And so I wrote a song called See Your Face, and it's about the difference between connecting virtually and connecting in reality, and trying to bridge that gap as much as possible with things like video chat and, you know, Marco Polo app and things like that, where you can at least see people and just, you know, do that like weekly, daily, monthly, whatever it is, check in and be like, yeah, you're still there. And that's as much as I can get right now, and that's going to help me get by for just a little bit longer as we go on.
Back in early March, I wrote, at suggestion of a couple different people, I wrote COVID-19 to the tune of "Come On, Eileen." I haven't recorded it yet, but COVID-19, oh, I swear, at this moment, you rule everything.
So I do kind of want to wrap up now with our last question. What are y'all's goals for the next year, and how are you hoping to get to them, since touring is so uncertain? Madison?
recording, streaming, having a just really like developing my stuff, especially with some of the remote things. Like I've been able to contribute paid guitar tracks to other artists. It's just been sort of a lot of community building and a lot of recording and collaborations, and there's a lot of value in that. Like it's not the same as, you know, selling merch at a show, but there are other avenues that work better for me. Because frankly, like at a lot of shows, it's just me solo. You know, I don't even have like my husband there a lot of the time, so it's just me and what I can carry, and it's just overwhelming. I am also diagnosed with narcolepsy, so a lot of the out of the house stuff, conventions are extremely difficult for me. It takes a lot out of me to do them. So actually having this kind of flexibility has been just crucial, and my productivity has just gone way up.
For me, you know, a lot of what I'm going to be working on is continuing with my podcast. I find I have sort of doubled back down on podcasting because it's something that I've always loved, and I find it a very easy medium to be a part of. I am I've been trying to build my video collection of online videos that I'm offering, like especially on YouTube and such, for a long time, and trying to come up with a strategy to do that. So that's one of the big things that I'll be working with the most. I am also looking to the future because, you know, again, this is something that it is very possible it could last a long time, but that our lives will adjust and we will grow and change however we can. We will find ways to adapt to this, and that includes, you know, whether it's live shows or whatever. Now, I don't expect to be doing more than maybe a couple of local things that are like, you know, the pub that I mentioned earlier, the brew house that I went to, something simple that like that. I don't expect to be doing conventions as much, but I am planning. I have at least scheduled my Celtic Invasion vacation for June of 2020. Whether it'll actually happen, I don't know. I'm going to plan for the best and hope it happens, but I might end up canceling, and that might really suck. But you know, right now, only best thing I can do is just plan for a better tomorrow, and then hope that we can see that better tomorrow.
I can tell you my wife's goal is that we have a new album out in the spring, which of course that makes it my goal as well. I mean, theoretically, Filk Ontario is going to be happening in the spring. PDX Broadsides, if it happens, you guys still coming back, I hope?
I hope so.
Yeah.
I hope so. we miss you, Ontario.
Yeah. But you know, so it's like the thinking is, okay, let's have a new album for, you know, international convention kind of thing. And I personally, I've been learning Adobe Premiere, and want to produce some more videos. I love the process of producing video, and not just, you know, a video of a live performance, but like cutting away the scenes and effects and all that cool stuff. And so the video project I'm working on right now is, you know, really going to be a learning exercise. So it'll be weird. And then I have actually an old album of medieval and Renaissance music that I've been meaning to re-record for over a decade now, because I took the old recording off the market, and because I've become a better musician and want to re-record that. And a project I did with a storytelling friend about again, a medieval story about Eloise and Abelard, if you're familiar with that tale at all, and not in the Being John Malkovich marionettes humping the wall kind of way. Really, really classy, like.
So I had 100 something shows booked going into this year, and having all of that canceled is a wee bit heartbreaking. So honestly, my goal right now is to be present. I want to continue to make music, and whether it's performing live or live streaming or writing songs, I want to be present with it, and I want to feel it, and I want to not just crawl into a hole and feel like a chunk of ice that is shutting everything out. So I did just a casual live stream this morning, and it was some originals and some oldies, and I just put myself into it, and it felt really good. And if that is the most that I can do right now, is for me to feel good and to put something out there that puts some good energy out for other people, and gives them a better day, then that's my goal.
I'd like to be able to make sure that my band can, play together. We really miss doing that. Had a good time the other day, and we're looking forward to doing this live stream in a couple of weeks. We're getting prepared for that. But the one of the things I was thinking about is goals being, we have a wellspring of a bunch of new material, and we're not playing shows, so I think we need to go back in the studio and make another album, and that's the urge that I've been feeling, and whatever time I'm going to be able to have for that. I think we're going to convince Brandon to leave his drum set at our producer's house after we finish the live stream. That way, we'll have a good excuse to go back over there and do some recording, and we'll see what comes out of that. We've been experimenting with a lot of remote recording at somebody's house, and somebody sends the track somewhere else, and people add the stuff, and we'll kind of like what Madison's doing with the Salacious Crumbles, except that we're all in the same city, so it should be a little bit easier for us. So I think we got something big coming on that, and so now that I got a bunch of other creative projects out of the way, I got to push some new ones in there to occupy my baby brain. No more master's thesis. So what am I going to do with my time? So produce videos, I guess. I don't know. We'll see what comes of this. But we've got a lot of ideas, and we just got to sit down and finish the stuff.
My goal for the next year is to interact with 0 human beings and just play with cats the whole time. But outside of that, on the music side of things, I think that we are going to continue to work on these new songs, and we're going to release them like we've always been, like, or at least I've always been, like, very much an album-centric person. I like albums. EPs are cool, but I like albums. However, kind of like we talked about in some of these other things, because of the way the world is now, the current version of a full-length album is, it's not as useful as it used to be. So what we're going to try to do is, over the next year and a half, something like that, release like a series of kind of shorter EPs, 4 or 5 tracks, things like that. We can do different themes easier that way. You don't have to worry about having something that follows through for 12 tracks. It could just be 4 tracks, things like that. And at the end of it all, maybe put out like a full-length collection. It's almost like a best of, because every album's the best of if you're at your peak prime ability of putting out music. But then we put it out, and then if physical CDs are a thing that's still viable, 27 years from now when we can leave our houses again, we can have them on that CD, and we can say, you need to buy this CD because it's got the 600 songs we made during pandemic all on this one CD. Somehow technology has advanced a lot, because it's been 27 years. So we're gonna put out, just work on a lot of EPs, work on some video stuff. Continue to build the brand and the community aspect of connecting everything from the Twitch to the YouTube to the Night Sabers to Kiss to Prince. We're bringing Prince back, and he's going to be connected to us. It's going to be a good time over the next year. So the goal is just to keep things coming, because we kind of went away for a little bit because we were working on some things, and we're done being away. The world might not be ready for Night Sabers yet in person, but we're ready to invade your eyes, ears, and nightmares.
My primary goal for the next year is to stay alive. Survival is big, and that's already met some adjustments, and it's going to mean more as winter gets on. As far as musically, there's a lot of things I want to do. I've got songs that I've written that I have to arrange and record. There's songs that I want to write. There's some album concepts that I want to write. I've been making a list of cover songs for the last 3 years of things that I'd like to cover, and I can get those together and just spit out a cover album or 2. That would be a lot of fun. I hope to get a couple of albums out between now and the end of the year. I am not sweating it if I don't. It's a matter of writing and recording and accumulating the songs. I'm going to be doing more with Patreon because I really want to. I'm going to be looking into Twitch. Thank you, Matricula. and basically keeping my hand in any way I can. It's yeah, I'm gonna be home for a lot of time, and in that time, I'm hoping to get out a lot of music, and ideally also to make myself healthier. We'll see how that goes.
Yeah, I have to agree with Tom. Living, highest priority, definitely. I'm gonna reiterate that. But we all had these plans, and they all went out the window. I started a production company right when all this started, and helped out a lot of other performers and musicians, and got shows up every week. I haven't taken a week off. It's been crazy, and it has been rewarding. But I've definitely let my own career suffer because of it. And now it's time for me to jump back in. I've gotten ahead of the other thing. I am producing shows actively now, but I need to jump on my stuff. And I've only streamed myself a bit with my own music alone. So now it's time to jump on and do the weekly shows and really help keep developing my fan base and push that a lot and get some more, write a lot of music. And some of the CD projects I've had on the back burner, now they're in the forefront, and I want to get a CD out before the end of the year and get that going. Although I don't know, maybe we need to stop calling them CDs at this point. We need to start calling them, song groupings or or something else. But whatever. I mean, we need a new word. We need a new word. That's what. Okay, everybody, start thinking of a new word for CDs that aren't CDs that are online streaming.
Album is a great word.
Oh yeah, that's not retro at all. I mean, what about? I'm going to release 12 singles. I think that will work in a nice package. But I don't know. That's sort of the goal. I want to keep doing that and do a little bit of everything, diversify as much as I can. So yeah, that's for me.
I think making promises right now about what I'm going to do in the next year is a little bit like on New Year's Eve saying, okay, so I'm going to launch my career and become a superstar and gain 400 pounds, because those are all good goals if you really like chocolate chip cookie dough, and I do. But I think that we're all just kind of doing the best we can. And my goals are to keep making music. I'm making music 20 minutes a day, whether that's just playing the piano or actually writing something. It's good for our souls to be creating something in this time of kind of emptiness. And there's a lot going on, and it's mentally exhausting. So I guess my biggest goal is to stay well and to stay here. And I think a lot of folks are in that same boat. So use Filk as a creative outlet, and take care of yourself, not just physically, but also emotionally and mentally, and know that the community is here for you and we love you. And hopefully we'll see you at DragonCon Live next year with our bodies full of antibodies.
Thank all y'all for coming out and chatting with us about how you're handling this chaotic time that we're in. And thank you guys so much for coming out and playing with us at DragonCon Goes Virtual. I love you all. And for those of y'all watching this at home, at the tail end slate, we'll have everybody's URLs so you can check everybody out. And don't forget, as always, please remember, wear your mask. Love y'all.